Hey there, Salesforce users. So today I'm coming directly to you to see if I can help you out on troubleshooting issues when you're working in Salesforce. We're going to start off with trying to do some troubleshooting that you can do yourself. And then if that doesn't work and all else fails, the information resources that you need to know to provide to your Salesforce admin to help get them to resolve the issue as quickly as possible. So we're going to start off by my first and most important question is, trying to figure out if the issue is a system Salesforce issue or if it's a you issue, like something specific to you as a user, the browser that you're using, or how you're logging into Salesforce. So my very first question is always going to be, are you the only one experiencing this issue? So as a Salesforce user, you can't log in as someone else, like an admin may be able to, but you can go ahead and ask your teammates and ask them if they are encountering the same issue. If they are, then this might be a bigger problem that you can go ahead and take to your admin. If not, one of the next questions I'll ask is typically, have you tried logging in and following this process again and experiencing the same issue on a different browser? Now, I don't necessarily mean like switching over to incognito mode or private mode or whatever that is, depending on the browser you're using, but specifically a whole other browser. So here I am logged in using Chrome, and there are, if you look at the bottom of my toolbar here, I have Edge as well as Firefox. If you're using Mac, you'll have Safari. There's a whole bunch of other browsers that you can use. It doesn't really matter what it is, just try a different browser. The reason this is because different browsers, you might have specific settings on it that we'll talk about in a moment, but the settings and the cache and other stuff like that might be the cause of the issue. And by simply switching to a different browser, that's going to let me know that, okay, this is something that might be, again, Salesforce system settings specific on the permissions, whatever that you have, or you just uncovered an issue that no one else has seen yet, or we need to do a little more digging and trying to help resolve the issue on your machine. If it is working on a different browser, the very next thing that I'm going to ask you to do is to clear your cache. And if that works, great. But if it doesn't, then I need you to deactivate any kind of add-ons or extensions that you have. So if we look at my screen in this upper corner, I have these three dots. On Firefox, it's three lines, like it looks like a little hamburger, I think they call it. Edge has something different, Safari has something different, but it's typically up in one of the corners. You'll go ahead and be able to click on settings. I already have settings open here. You're going to click on the privacy and security settings or tab, and then you're going to go to clear browsing data. And the keyword we want to look here for is that cache. So we want to go through and clear out the cache. With one caveat, if you use your browser as your password manager, you're going to want to uncheck this, because if you leave that check and you clear out your passwords, you are going to lose all your login credentials, and we don't want to do that. So, make sure you've bookmarked all the sites that you like and you want to be able to use so you don't lose it in your browsing history. Uncheck your passwords, clear out in case you're using that as your password manager. Maybe look at getting a different one. And once that is done, what you need to do is go back and then see if that fixes the issue. If it didn't fix the issue, the next one you're going to do is, again, we're going to go to the three little dots, and we're going to click on extensions and click on manage extensions. I think on Firefox it's called add-ons. And we're going to start deselecting. So like I've already deselected these, but what we'll do is just kind of unselect them, deactivate them, and see if one of these is the culprit. Once we've deselected all of them, we'll go back and see if that fixed the issue. If it did fix the issue, then we can one by one reactivate each one of them to see which add-on or extension was the culprit. But if all of that fails, the next step is to burn it all around. No, just kidding. We're not going to burn it down. We're going to reach out to our admin and ask them for support, and we're going to give them some key information that they're going to want to help them resolve the issue quickly. The very first one is send them the URL. I know it might seem easy to say like, hey, I'm having an issue where I try to add a phone number. Well, are you adding the phone number on the contact? Are you adding the phone number on the lead? And if we have what's called record types in Salesforce, that's important to know because different record types have different things on them, and conditions or validation rules, whatever have you. So telling me just like, oh, it's on the phone number doesn't actually give me all the information that I need to know. It's good to know like where you're experiencing the issue, and we'll get to that. But sending me the URL gives me a lot more information, and I can get straight to the record that you're working on. And then we're going to need the next bit of information is the steps to reproduce the error. So like, what were you doing when you encountered the error? Otherwise, we might try to make all sorts of changes and we can't figure out how you came across that error or what you did to see it. So telling us like, I was updating phone number and I came across the error. Well, that's good, but like, which phone number, what did you put in, things like that is very helpful, because then we can see the error ourselves. The next thing is the error message. So maybe you're putting in a phone number and you did like I did here, and I added the 7 numbers, and all of a sudden you're getting an error. Well, if this was a validation rule, maybe I have validation rules that said like, hey, you can't put in a 7-digit phone number because, you know, you can't do that anymore, unfortunately. So you now need to have an area code that's included at all times. So uh, I have a validation rule that's intentionally blocking you. So it's not really an issue, but it's instead like you're not following the correct process, or the data that you're entering is incorrect. So by telling us what the actual error message is, it'll help us figure out like, is this something intentionally that we're causing an error or blocking you, or is there something else happening? And that will help us kind of zone in on what's going, or what the problem is and how to resolve it. The next bit of information that you can provide is um, letting us know if there is a workaround. So if you're sitting there and telling me like, hey, I can't add in the phone number here, but if I go ahead and move it up to mobile and I save it, then it works. That gives me 2 bits of information. One, it lets me know that if there's other problems that are kind of competing priorities, that, not that your issue is not important, but it'll help me to figure out like, okay, I need to fix this issue, but the other thing that came up that someone else is having trouble with, I need to prioritize that because there isn't a workaround for them. Also, why that's important, why you should include it, just because not even if you're afraid like your issue request is going to go unnoticed or unresponded, is because letting us know about the workaround is also important, because sometimes that gives us insight onto what is the issues. Like, why can I do it this way but not that way? And by figuring out and looking at it from both angles, this allows us to better figure out a solution for your problem. And the very last bit of information that's very useful uh, is telling us when you started noticing this issue. So if this issue blocker that you've just encountered popped up all of a sudden last week, but not this week, well, that tells us to say, okay, something changed in our system. So we can go ahead and through the system settings, we're going to look at any deployments that we had. Maybe on Monday morning, we had finished up our sprint, we deployed to production, and one of those changes is tied to why you're experiencing this issue. And we can either roll back the changes that we had if that we can't figure out or have a quick fix, or at the very least, like, it just lets us hone in on a solution for the issue and what might be the cause of it. So telling us, sending in that URL, sharing with the team how to reproduce those steps to replicate the issue, letting us know the error message, if there is a workaround, and when you notice those issues. Those 5 things are going to be very helpful for any Salesforce admin who you're trying to reach out to get support. Hopefully this helps, and the little browser and extensions tips helps you to resolve anything that might come up for you. And happy Salesforce trailblazing. Bye.